Hello, everybody. I'm Tal Griffin. Uh, how are y'all today?
Welcome to the Jedi Merit System class. Um, Adopted by the Jedi Order Dai Bendu for the virtual gathering and training of 2024, end of year. All right. So, what is the Jedi Merit System? This is a program derived from the merit system, various youth organizations such as the Scouting America, formerly BSAs, Girl Scouts of America, Royal Rangers, National Parks Ranger, Junior Rangers, etc. Excuse me. In an effort to design a training program that encouraged growth and engagement, we looked at programs that promoted that. The scouting programs, Royal Rangers, and the National Parks Junior Rangers, among others, look to promote engagement, not just a scholastic approach to learning. These merits are what we believe every Jedi should know. Why develop the Jedi merit system? In my studies of various Jedi orders, I've noted that most lessons used to promote growth are strictly scholastic, essays and the such. I was looking for something that encourages action and engagement within communities and self. So we plan to use this program as the main measurement of growth of a Jedi. A significant fraction of society appreciates and thrives within structure and guidance in their efforts at growth and personal development. Just like um, the Boy Scouts or the Scouting America uh, merit badges, they promote interaction with a particular program, a skill, and the idea is that you learn how to do that, pass off the merit, and earn merits towards advancement. So what we looked at are based off of the value, rank, lineage, trials, groupings, that kind of thing, um, considerations that have gone into the development of the Jedi merit system. Values would be like recommended. These are the highly recommended um, merits for certain rank advancements. To earn the Eagle Scout, for instance, you have to do a group of, I think it's 13 or 18 required merit badges. And then you had to do a total of 30 or something um, merit badges to have enough merit badges for your Eagle Scout. So that's what we were looking at with this and the value. So the recommended um, is the ideal skills that we believe that every individual, every Jedi should encompass and should be able to put into practice anywhere they find themselves, in any moment they find themselves. Suggestion tend to be more towards the roles, the rank, lineage areas. So they're suggested that they're good for people to learn and to know and to understand, be able to do, but maybe not everybody needs to know those things. And then our electives, again, filling up, certain aspects of your personal interests, special interest type things, things that you want to explore, you want to learn about. So that those would be your electives that you can earn. And, of course, you would need a certain number of electives for advancement as well. So our rank structure looks like an initiate or a novice, initiate, Padawan. We've kind of linked the initiate Padawan together, the Padawan being someone who is apprenticed under someone. Initiate is the individual that just wants to kind of do the program, learn for themselves, don't necessarily want to take on a master or whatever have you, but still wants to work towards the goal of advancement. And then, of course, the knight and master rank structure as well. Our lineage um, was we're looking at the counselor, consular, guardian, sentinel, and then the emissary is one of the special lineage groups we have. Emissary is basically your um, religious leader um, of the order, someone who would perform um, the religious rites and rituals of the order. Um, so yeah, so counselors, of course, um, are geared toward being healers or emissaries, lawyers, or uh, interacting with other people. Guardians are tend to be more towards military or first responders, public or private transportation. Sentinels may be directed towards personnel, IT, or engineering of all types. The trial selection, we have the courage, flesh, insight, skill, and spirit that we have adapted from the Jedi lore that are, regard these as everyday trials, things you encounter that you have to overcome, um, and that, are easy enough to say, hey, this relates to that kind of thing. So, with each merit uh, pairs with one or more of the traditional Jedi trials. A number of qualifying trial-related merits are required for advancing through the ranks as well. So, just like you have to pass the trials for advancement to initiate night or onward, um, we would expect that you have accomplished a merit in that trial field, in all the trial fields, actually. So, um, for advancement. Our groupings include active living, wellness, arts, humanities, business, finance, civilization, philosophies, flora and fauna, STEM, survivalism. I think that most of all of them. But these are uh, in the interest of encouraging a range of skills and talents. We invite each Jedi to seek a blend of applicable groupings. So, um, you know, you don't have to focus on what the guardian military type stuff, survival stuff. You can explore active living wellness, business or finance, flora, fauna, whatever you want to explore in this merit system. So what is the purpose of a merit? The motto of the Jedi Order Daibendu is train like a Jedi, live like a Jedi. The purpose is to promote training in life skills that translate into living like a Jedi. Um, that is to know at least a little about as much as you can. This is so you can be active in the moment where you find yourself, help and lead others in as many situations you may find yourself. Um, so, of course, our training aspect of the merits is to learn the skills of the merits, and then be able to use them in everyday life or whatever situation you may find yourself, that they're applicable to. You might also want to learn a new skill or new hobbies, learn new practices, something like that. So maybe explore that merit to help you um, get a better understanding of it. Revisit past training, things like you feel like have a good foundation in this, but maybe you want to just get a little bit of a recap, so you can go back to them. Engaging with applicable communities. One of the skills that we have is citizenship. Just like the Boy Scout merit badge, we broke it down into community, um, state, things like that, the country, as a way of engaging and being involved in the different communities that you find yourself being in. Maybe a book club, I mean, that's a community. Maybe a church order, another church order that you belong to, things like that. Um, you have, you know, a role in that community that you want to fulfill, that this training can help you uh, be better and perform and learn more things about. The last thing is to foster opportunities that allow you to live in the moment, appreciate who you are, your talents, and your interests. Um, One of the areas that we have looking at is gardening. Um, Many of us realize that gardening is a great meditation tool. It fosters the ability to bring about life and be self-sustaining. So, appreciating those moments, appreciating your talents and your skills, your interests. That's what we're working towards with this merit system. Um, okay, how are the merits earned? We are looking at a process of completing as much of the merit as you can. We're not asking you to complete the entirety of the merit, but as much as you can. We will rate your progress of the merit in a 0 to 4 stars. 0 being that you haven't yet accomplished anything, and 4 being you've completed everything and may be viewed as an expert on the subject. Each merit has a number of goals or requirements that are earned uh, to earn the full merit. So we want to accomplish a minimum of qualifying goals and or experiences. Each merit has a list of built-in options, or you may propose applicable valuable options under the guidance and approval of proctor, trainer, master, and council, and or council. So part of this was that, you know, while you could do it alone, you still have to have somebody validate your process in earning your merit. So you can pick up a proctor for that particular merit. And that proctor doesn't have to actually know very much about the skill that you're going over. They just have to understand what the goals are set for that merit and are you achieving those goals. And if you are achieving those goals satisfactory, then they can mark you off and say, yes, you've completed this ability or this goal of the merit. After a percentage um, of the uh, merit goals have been accomplished, you start earn, excuse me, you start earn the stars in that merit. The more qualifiers earn, the higher the quality of demonstrable mastery, and the faster you may advance within the order. Um, we also want someone to be accountable or be accountable to someone. And so, again, being a proctor, you're measuring a person who is working on a merit. You're validating that they are earning the merit as it's outlined in the the program. Um, you're looking at what they're trying to achieve and helping them, guiding them as you can. If there's a question, you can bring it up to who needs to know, um, maybe a subject matter expert on it, and say, hey, this is what's being questioned about, and then you work it out with the leadership of the order that way. What happens after the merit is earned? So we'll, of course, record and report the progress. This is not a one and done program. Remember, live like a Jedi. So this means that you want to apply what you've learned where you can. We would also look at those who have completed a merit and to demonstrate their familiarity with repetitive and with it repetitively. Um, you may be asked to repeat some of the goals of a particular merit you have earned previously, um, or teach a merit you have earned as a teacher of a merit to a group or to an individual um, in that way. So we want continued growth and development. We don't want you to just check the box and move on and say you've done it. You don't need to look back. You don't need to use it anymore. Um, there's always something that's applicable to life and whatever you've learned in this merit program. So continue the practices and intentions of the earned merit and teach the principles to others. Choose another merit and start again. So, what are we waiting for to implement this? So, currently we are looking at about 250, 200 to 300 current merits. We have 50 of those, 50 or so of those that have been fleshed out, have um, the goals outlined. And then we've about 200 more that we are working and getting them Jedi aligned, I would say, because we do have a lot of them have the goals or the requirements from whatever system they've come from, the BSA, Junior Rangers, whatever have you. But we want to adapt it to Jedi lifestyle. Living like a Jedi is what we are gearing these towards. So we're, um, cleaning them up to be applicable to what we're trying to achieve there. Um, so we have completed the goals for over 50 merits thus far and working on another 200. We could use the minds of the Jedi community to flesh these merits out and in a Jedi guided way. Help us promote Jedi living, growth, and education by working with us with these merits. If you feel there is a merit Jedi, let's work to make it a Jedi merit so that all could use the goals to grow and learn more. Um, so we're looking to add in new merits that aren't even touched on. Um, we've got a Jedi lore. We've got a Force lore. Uh, Things like that that are particular to Jedi communities to help us understand more of what we're trying to do while being a Jedi. Um, that's the goal of this is to help us uh, build the community in a way that we are active in our engagement and not just um, behind a screen writing an essay, submitting it, and calling it good. We want to be active in what we're doing um, as Jedi. So with that, we're looking at hopefully getting some volunteers to assist in interpreting and adapting from existing merit systems into the Jedi merit system, develop new merits of interest and value that can be put in as new merits as well, um, things like that. So realistically, that was all I had for this particular lesson. Um, if anybody has any questions or comments, I'm more than happy to field them at this time.
Yeah. How are you doing? A question I
Good.
have is with this, and pardon the reference here, but what would differentiate this versus, say, the Boy Scouts? Okay. And I'm not
Mhm.
criticizing what you have here. Okay.
Mhm.
But what in this, what would hold somebody to this outside of just based on what they're reporting? How would a person be kept accountable to that outside of just what they're doing in the order?
So yeah, the ideal situation is that you are working with either the proctor or a training master um, to go through the program and earn the
Okay.
merit. With a training master, the master would probably guide you what merits he wants you to achieve, he or she wants you to achieve.
Right.
As an initiate, you get to choose. Hey, I want to go and explore this thing and go through that, and then you can get a proctor to help you through this the program.
Okay.
Um, the difference between the Boy Scouts and the Jedi merit system isn't that obscure, in that the biggest difference being that earning a merit in the Boy Scouts is for Boy Scouts merit progression.
Hmm.
The Jedi merit system is geared towards, um, you know, in our particular case, advancement towards knighthood,
Right.
towards
Right.
ministry. But it doesn't have to be that. It is a way for everyone to learn or explore new skills, to be involved, to learn more about um, the nature of things. People haven't done Boy Scouts before. This would be a different challenge for them
Right.
as a Jedi.
Right. Yeah. Because
Um,
I asked that because at one time later on, earlier on in my life, I was part of, the Weeblos, the Boy Scouts and stuff like that. I'm like, wait, this looks very familiar to a lot of
mhm.
that. Right. And, and there's a lot of things that really are good here. This, in a way, I see here that yes, can help somebody get out of where they're at, say if they're in a funk. But one thing that I've seen is that what somebody does in an order and then they go and show themselves out in different groups, they end up acting a different way. And so
Hmm.
if someone is acting a different way outside other than the how they're presenting themselves in the order, would it be acceptable for how that person is being observed outside of the order to come back to your order and report that in order to correct whatever they may be doing?
So this would be different than um, enforcing a spiritual mindset or a philosophical mindset on people.
Okay.
Um, this is a program. The merit system is ideally a guideline for people to learn more skills to be more active and engaging in their community,
Right.
rather than learning necessarily um, uh, directly how to be a Jedi. I mean, that would be with more lessons of the philosophy side of things.
Right.
Now, we do want to have some kind of merits that help promote that learning.
Hmm.
Um, but it's not like, oh, that you pass this, now you're a Jedi Knight. It would be a process of review, and just like any other order. Hey, you've got, you made this requirement, you made this criteria. Last step is the council review or something to that
Hmm.
effect. And so that would be the same thing if somebody was doing this Jedi merit system for the purpose of promotion, or advancement, that that would be a review that whatever council is reviewing it would
Right.
would take under and evaluate their lifestyle versus how they're presenting themselves, I guess, in
Right.
that, in how you're questioning that.
But the thing is that if someone is, yes, doing this and making their merits, okay,
Mhm.
but what holds them to that same standard outside of what keeps them to it is what I'm asking. What is going to maintain this change, this working to be a part of the community? What,
Okay.
and that this, instead of them presenting, other words, not living two different lives, they are staying
Mhm.
consistent throughout. Um,
Sure.
because I've seen personally when I was with an order previously where what one person would be presenting in the order would end up outside of that, ended up acting like a complete fool. And
Hmm.
then that would reflect badly on the order because you're representing the order when you leave and go out into the public eye. and in
Hmm.
other groups, right? So, and this has been a problem that has caused multiple chaotic situations in different groups. And that's why I'm asking what when there's somebody's doing this in order to live like a Jedi. But in that, to live like a Jedi, you're representing where you're training from in that process and not
Hmm.
defacing who is training you as well, because they're responsible for you. And that if that person is training you and responsible for you, that person has to answer for that person's behavior as well. Uh, and so that goes back to what holds somebody to that standard outside of an order that is your order.
Okay, I'm trying to visualize a scenario that you're depicting here,
Matt, can
where
I
the I
intervene?
Can I say
sure.
something? All right, go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Matt.
want to turn to.
Oh no, look what I did.
Oh,
Did
you're
I
fine.
do that?
I'm sorry I interrupted you. I'll go after you, bro.
All right, I'll try to be quick here. I would think that with physical fitness merits, it would be very easy to keep track of that. You can see a person's weight, you can see them gaining muscle. They can make a log of their like I use a stationary bike. I could take pictures of how many calories I burn every day on that machine. Our phones can calculate that. Our watches that they make that link to our phones can calculate that. The physical merits would be really easy. And saber skill merits the same. Very easy. All you have to do is have three people. One of them doesn't even have to be a Jedi and just film the dueling. And then also like katas in martial arts, the whole feinting or spinning of the saber, that could be part of merits too, even
Hmm.
though that would not necessarily be a the most important part of the saber, which is the sparring part, but it is still part of to be used during sparring as a technique. And then, as far as the spiritual and behavioral parts, um, a person can make a log every day, and if they're not running into any problems and they're not causing any bad stuff to happen every day for 3 weeks, then they're not putting everything that they're going through during those days on there because we're all human at the end of the day, uh,
Hmm.
as far as Jedi go that we know of. So anyway, uh, you know the commitments you make to the community, the things you give to help other people, all these things can be added and built as merits in a merit system that somebody in our community feels they're the one to make it, present it. We could vote if we have to vote, or if enough people say yes, we could run with it. But
Hmm.
there's probably multiple ways we could go about finding a way to make a merit system for every aspect that is a Jedi as we believe a Jedi to be. That's all I had to say.
I like what you were saying, Matt. And I think if I can touch back on what Tao said, Peter, if that's okay, I'll make it in 30 seconds. So, for example, because I have a certain set spiritual path and philosophy, right? At least for me. So, as a um, person who's studying, um, and learning at the Jedi Dai Bendu, right? If I went into another group, for example, and said, well, you have to believe in this or otherwise you're in the wrong, we talked about how Jedi act, right? And so if I'm being overbearing, for example, me, would I be held to some sort of talk and attempt to re-educate and redirect and make sure that that doesn't happen again? And if I did that again, regardless of if it was in our order or somebody else's, would that come back to me? Because there'd have to be some sort of either attempt to re-educate and let a consequence, right? Or no. That's my question, and I hope that maybe clarifies what Tao is trying to ask, because I don't speak for Tao, but if somebody's actually doing something that is disrespectful, or breaking our ethics on how we do, what would we do? Because while people should always be able to learn, sometimes the student isn't always ready or willing to learn at that time. I know I've been there in the past. And so maybe if not a temporary ban, but some sort of what do you call it when you put somebody in, not timeout, but probation or whatever. How would we handle that?
So the way I am hearing this, um, at least from um, Amy here, is that if I went from this order and said, okay, well, this is how we did it, that you guys need to do it this way, I'm trying to push them into doing it my way. Yes, that would not look favorably, I think, on anyone. And I think that an order would handle that situation in their own regard. What I feel like Tao was saying is that if I went and learned something in the Jedi merit system and then took it out into the public and performed and had some kind of catastrophic failure, for instance, um, and somebody was to ask, where did you learn how to do that? And they brought up, well, I learned it at the Jedi Order. Then it looks disfavorably on the training that's being performed there. With this merit system, I don't know if that's accurate or not. That's kind of how I'm understanding it. But if it with this, like, first aid here, I hope you guys can all see that. Um, First aid has some requirements, at least first aid 2 does, that if you're going to perform life-saving measures, that you have life-saving training outside of the Jedi merit system, i.e., through the Red Cross or through whoever does resuscitation practices, or whatever the training may be. The goal is that you have an understanding of what you need to do to be the most helpful in a situation that you may find yourself, um, and not a detriment or not a standby observer. We shouldn't just sit back and watch things unfold all the time if because we don't know anything. If we can be of assistance, we should be of assistance. And so if we learn something about something, then we can put it into practice. If we go to the Jedi gathering, a lot of times we go over some first aid things. And that would help, you with your particular merit in first aid or emergency preparedness or something to that effect. And that's kind of what we're gearing towards, is that learning as much as you can about everything that you can makes you a better person for yourself, let alone your community or whatever situation you find yourself. Um, so, I mean, if somebody is learning something and going out and being a troll, it falls on that person, not on the training or the order that's putting that out. So, yeah, you might have to do some damage control on the person, but I mean, that's at that point, that's a different situation than earning merit, in my opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but still, though, I mean, how would you hold a person to in maintaining representation? Uh, because this is all fine and good, and I'm glad to see this. But however, how would that person be held accountable outside of the order? Because
How short of anybody having like the in-person inquisitor, maintain or surveilling your offline activity, how would you even check that? I mean, only way we got to check each other on is our participation in the community, unless you actually belong to an offline order that can keep you in check in person. I mean, I know that we can all act one certain way while we're all sitting here together, which is what I think you're getting at. But I could turn off this phone right now and go out and act the fool and be as Sith-like as I want to be, and no one would ever know it because I didn't do it on Facebook. I mean, I think we have to, just rely on each other's integrity, and I know that's hard to do in this space where we can't always see each other. But I mean, what do you do with that?
Well, I think it would be wise for that to be, like, hey, you've got this person here, because this is something that has been gotten away from, that it would be reported back to. And so that I do know that there are incidences where, say, for example, where somebody has gone on their own volition and then attacked people in a PM, and that they are from another order. Now, it used to be that
I am sorry, Tao. I'm trying to find the relationship to your questioning to what this presentation's about. It does seem that this is quite a wide-reaching, vague line of questioning that doesn't actually, like, we're not an inquisition, as Jason said. We're not here to, like, sure, if somebody wants to subject their entire life to speculation and somebody going in and like observing everything they do at all times, go for that. If that's your thing, you want to live in the Truman Show, go for it. But this isn't like this isn't what we're doing here, and I'm very sorry. This doesn't seem like a line of questioning that's in line with what the class is, and I do believe there are other people trying to ask questions, such as myself, that might have more to do with this Jedi merit system than how to hold people accountable. That's a very large question for a class about this, when this is the type of question that, like, God, we've been trying to answer for years and years and years and years and years. You're sort of expecting Tragamite to answer this in a 20-minute paragraph. I believe we should move on, just for the sake of, like, number one, the recording, but also, like, just for the sake of the class content.
okay.
Okay, let me just address this, and I don't know if this was what you were trying to get at. Like, so assembling this first aid here, you assemble a first aid kit. Now, if you said you did that offline and presented it online, how would you be accountable? It would be here's my kit. You show a picture of it. So there is a process of making sure that they're doing what they're saying they're doing. But I mean, offline being a fool is completely different from what we're trying to achieve with this merit system. So we'll move on from there. Thank you. Darcy, you wanted to chime in? I don't know who was first. Sorry.
I did have a question about the this merit system. I do apologize. I was a little bit late to the class due to work. When you're saying the order, so is this merit system, is this something that could be adopted by any order, or is this or is there very specifically a central body here? I can't say that I'm the greatest authority on scouts or anything like that, but having been in the cadets, there is a central body to answer to all the training. So is there a central body for that, or is that just something that's up to the individual order to adopt?
Yeah, so we've been developing it with the Jedi Order Daibendu. we feel I've called in other people to kind of review and help flesh some of these out. And so I was requested to present this in this manner here today, um, because other individuals felt that there is a strong merit that this could be utilized elsewhere. Um, and I fully agree with that. I think that this is a great opportunity for us as individuals to learn and grow in new skills, new talents, have new appreciations of what we're doing. So, um, in that regard, um, yeah, any order that felt like they wanted to be involved and adopt this as part, and doesn't have to supersede their training curriculum, but as part of their training curriculum, um, we're happy to facilitate and cooperate with that. Um, and what we want to do is uh, develop as many merits as possible, that people can explore any interest that they might have to learn more about that, with still having some that are identified as the highly recommended or the recommended, or even suggested. You should probably go and research this, learn this skill, whatever the case may be in that regard. So yeah, that's something we're hoping to actually see, is that it gets adapted and adopted by uh, the whole community, really.
So there wouldn't be like a central authority like the for testing or anything like that. This is just a generalized curriculum slash system.
Yeah, it would fall to the Council of the Order
Which order?
to
Like the order adopting it, or
order adopting it. Yep.
okay,
Does that make sense?
that does make sense. Thank you.
Okay. Solaris, so sword, so sword. I'm not hearing you.
How about now?
Now I can hear you.
Perfect. Um, with my background in many, many years of scouting, I know with our ranking, the for each rank you have to do what's called a board of review,
Mhm.
where there are three leaders that or committee members that review your progress to make sure you have everything done. Plus, there's also a what's called a Scoutmasters Conference that basically the leader of the troop sits down and has a talk with you where, basically, it he basically does a check-in with you to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing
Yeah.
for that rank. And I think that's probably what you guys are doing, but just wondering about that.
Yes. Yeah, as far as the advancement goes, we've looked at it like the tenderfoot to first class, second class, first class, Eagle Scout kind of process. Um, and with the advancement, you would be, of course, have that review. The council would see your credentials, what you've done, make sure that you're meeting the criteria for the next position, um, in that way. So yes, um, we've looked at it very similarly in that regard. Um, I've really been hoping to find some more stronger scout oriented people that would be able to come in and kind of and help us as well. Uh, I've I was involved in the scouts as a youth. Haven't been in my adulthood, but um, I have some familiarity, but I'm not an expert by any means. But I thought that process of engagement made a lot of sense to me, for a educational criteria or educational process to help benefit the growth of an individual. And that's why we kind of look to adapt it into the Jedi merit system in that way. But yes, there would definitely be a form of review, accountability of what you've done. And even as a master, you're not done with the Jedi merit system. We would look at you teaching merits that you've earned. We would look at you going back and repeating some of the goals of the merits to familiarize yourself and maintain a fresh understanding of what the merit is and how to perform whatever skills are required in the merits. So yes, we want a continued process and not just a check the mark. I'm done with this merit. Post, pin it to my badge, pin it to my sash. I never have to look at it again. We want a continuous um, engagement in the merits and training and learning and growing in that manner. Any other questions? Any other comments? Any volunteers?
I was just going to say I thought that was a good presentation to start things off with a better understanding, and that in due time we will together all figure out what the best way to do all of this is. I mean, I think with all the ideas that were thrown out there just now, that's enough concerned Jedi to say if you're concerned enough and get active in this, I think we can come up with a clear format that will be effective. And you know, I'm pointing towards IJF because most of the quality Jedi that I've met are already in IJF or part of or working towards, and it is the International Jedi Federation. So I mean, I'm not saying that every smaller order should just give up and quit or unite with us, but the more we can work together and communicate amongst each other, the stronger we're going to be as Jedi, and the more we're going to be met with a serious with a serious aspect in society if we can pull that off. But so the presentation I thought was great, and so was all the input. But we're not going to crack this cookie in one day.
With that, that is all I have. Thank you for coming. May the force be with you.